Day is extended, so we're starting right now to end at 10 o'clock this morning, and I have my guest here that will be together, all the way. Gbolahan Olojede joins me right now. Gbolahan, good morning to you.
Good morning, Sheriff, and good morning to our listeners everywhere.
We're gonna have a pretty huge conversation this morning because we want to talk election. We want to talk about the economy. We want to talk about the APC. We're still going to talk about your own preparation and the rest of them. But let's start from the basics right now. Gbolahan, let me start with the currency redesign and Naira swap. What's your thought on that?
Naira swap, currency redesign, cashless Nigeria. In itself, it's not a bad policy. You want to redesign your currency from time to time. This is a global practice across everywhere in the world for reasons best known. One of the main reasons is counterfeiting. That's why you want to redesign your note. Though the report has been that we do not exactly have that much counterfeiting problem in Nigeria. So if that is the basis, then it might not be justified. But come to think of it, if we have not done any redesign for over a decade,
that's right.
It should be right about time that we redesigned the Naira. So no problem with that. Cashless society, yes, beyond the shores of Nigeria, is some sort of global from onto the environment. You see, incidentally, I think Sweden was probably the first country to issue a fiat note, this currency that we're talking about in the entire Europe. But today, Sweden is about 98% on financial inclusion and electronic and the usage of other channels apart from cash. So if you put that in simple language, it means about 98% of the people have embraced using of other channels. They've even gone further, where you have a situation in which people don't really use cards any longer. Because what does card do essentially? It helps you to authenticate who the owner is. But if that authentication can be done using your fingerprint or your iris, why do you want to carry the card all around? So all those things are there. So for Nigeria too, there's nothing wrong with that policy. However, we have seen how the policy has gone. So you have a country where financial inclusion, as at 2023 January, is still about 64%, which means about 36% of the population, of the bankable population, do not have any access. So they are not buying to payments, to deposit, to anything financial service. They have no access. 36%. If you translate that to numbers, it comes to some fat millions of Nigerians with that access.
That's right.
So in that kind of a situation, when we are doing a policy such as the cashless, it starts from the level of awareness, especially as it concerns people that we just spoke about. Maybe there are 50 million of them that do not have this access. They need to know exactly what this is all about. Apart from knowing what this is all about, that is the sensitization part. And the sensitization needs to involve all levels of people that they listen to. The traditional institutions, the religious institutions, who can talk to this boy and say, this is what is going on, and this is how you plug in. Apart from that, we now need to help them to migrate. So they're used to cash. They don't know any other thing in their life. So helping them to migrate will include opening account for them.
Okay.
So there must be that structure up to their level, which is what probably the agency bank will have been able to help them do. That will open account for them, give them some other things that maybe those of them who can use cards. Beyond that, teach them to use the other channel. You want them to use other channels, right? Somebody must walk them, handhold them through that system and say, oh, this I better pass my neighbor phone, or whatever they call all those Balasha phone. This is how to use a USSD, whatever. You see that account where I open for you, If you want to do payment to Alhaji Bashir, this is what you do. And so you walk them into being able to use the other channels. This did not happen. The awareness at those levels was extremely poor. There was nobody that took it upon, even not even the commercial bank, took upon themselves to go right to those levels of these 50 million Nigerians that we're talking about to say, this is what is going on. We will help you open an account. This is how to use other channels apart from the cash that you are used to. So there seems to be an expectation that this will just happen because we have set a deadline. If you set a deadline, if they like, let them bring them. If they don't like, let them do, once we cut off, and they can go and do their worst.
That brings me to my next area of this conversation, which is implementation.
Correct.
Of this. Like you have said, many people have said they actually don't have a problem with Naira redesign, but the implementation, they've got big problems. Do you have a problem with implementation?
That's what I just described now is part of the implementation problem. There is a champion, which is the CBN. And this is a project. You want this to succeed. You have this huge number of people who are financially excluded. The informal sector is huge, where people do a lot of transactions. What did we do specifically to migrate these people from the lives that they are used to? This is what they have done all of their entire life into the new life I want them to adopt. What did we do? The infrastructure is another problem. So there is the banking platform, which is meant to accommodate these new channels that we want these people to use.
Yeah.
Okay, let me say I have been able to persuade someone and say, come, let me walk you through how to be savvy on the cashless side of things. I open an account for him. I show him how to use those things. Then the first time he tried to use it, the transaction did not work. Because in this season, we had a situation in which one of the biggest banks in Nigeria was off the radar for like 2 weeks. Nobody could do any transaction on those channels that we're talking about for about 2 weeks. So if there were even some converts, they came onto this, they bought into this initiative. They used the bank. It did not work. What do you think will happen? They will backpedal. You have some other banks that were epileptic. As I'm speaking to you, I see you have 2 transactions unresolved from last week.
Same here. True.
So if the platforms are not ready, we did not stress test those platforms to ensure that they are ready for what we're about to unleash on them. And they messed up in the midst of this. That is also part of
Is the CBN not aware of all of this? Or is down to poor planning on the part of the CBN? And add this to it. How would you rate the performance of Gordon Emefiele being the central bank governor? Let's start with the planning for the implementation of this policy.
I think the CBN overlooked a lot of things. And that is because, this is my own personal theory. I don't think that policy was intentioned to take us cashless. I think the purpose of that policy was to curb vote buying. We could as well stop calling it cashless or Naira SOP or whatever and start calling it curbing vote buying policy of the CBN. That was the focus. Because otherwise, how do you explain the fact that you wanted that policy to succeed, but you ignored critical issues like infrastructure, like awareness, like being able to walk these people through what they need to do? You ignored everything. And you assume that by setting deadlines, all these 50 million people will automatically start using other channels and drop the cash that they've been using for 40, 50 years or since they were born. It wasn't going to happen automatically. But it was totally ignored. So the focus was, okay, this is the deadline. You don't bring your notes, blah, 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 blah. And when you even look at some of the, look at the procedure for returning the old notes back to CBN. Number one, across most of the states, you have only one CBN office.
That's right.
And that office will be in the state capital.
That's right, again.
Okay, so if you take a Lagos, we are told, will have over 20 million people. Let's assume that Lagos, because of the awareness and all of the rest, that 99% of the people comply. And there is this 1% that was recalcitrant. 1% of 20 million people is still 200,000.
That's right.
If 200,000 people showed up at the doorstep of CBN, how did he hope to cope?
Did you see the crowd?
So the question is,
I'm sure those went up to 10,000. So yeah,
he had no facility for attending to retail activities, but you have invited 10,000 people or 5,000 people to come to your doorstep. What were you thinking? Unless perhaps what CBN is saying is that it has made up its mind that all these remaining notes, they are with one man. And as long as they are with one man, then nobody will come in. Everybody else have dissipated their old note. But that was not what we saw on Thursday and Friday. It was so bad that I think they even got scared themselves. And when they got scared, they said, wait, these people, make una come begin go
bank.
Commercial banks. At the same time, there was a memo that was circulating that commercial bank will make una no receive money from these people. So you asked them to come to CBN, and then when they came, you said go to the commercial bank. By the time they are getting to the commercial banks are saying, we have been told not to receive money from you. What kind of plan is that? So by every indication, this wasn't meant to be a cashless policy or a currency swap or anything. It is best described because this is what the focus seems to be as a vote buying curbing policy of the CBN.
That leaves us to the other part of my question as regards the performance of the CBN governor himself, Godwin Emefiele. Some have said that he hasn't really helped in managing Nigeria's currency, the naira, pretty well. Some have said that he has impacted more negatively in managing the economy of the country, more than any other CBN governors that we've ever had. What's your thought on that?
It's neither here nor there. There was, I think, he hobnobbed too much with the executive, and I'm not sure he was able to stand firm on many things regarding his own role. I still remember vividly in the days of Trump, vis-a-vis the guy who was the chairman of the Reserve Bank in the U.S. The U.S. president would say A, the guy would say no, it's this B, and he will go for his B. And that is when they're saying autonomy of CBN, that is exactly what it means.
What it means.
The guy is saying, I know my job, this is my thing. Yes, you are the president, but as far as monetary policy is concerned, this is where we're going, and he will maintain it. We need to be able to get to that level where we have CBN people at the end of affair who are willing to walk away. Because that is another thing we cannot resist.
Do you think he should have resigned the moment that notion came out that he was planning to run for the office of president?
It is politicizing the position. How will you be the CBN governor you want? It is part of the problem now. Because if you remember some of the comment from, I think it was the APC candidates saying, okay, or some of its people, maybe not the candidate himself, that this guy contested, he lost to our candidate, therefore he's undermining our candidate. If he had not contested in the first instance, maybe that would not have been there. Should the CBN governor be a card-carrying member of any political party? Once you walk into that kind of a space, you are bound to be described as a politician. And as a politician, your policy may be seen as not neutral, but political. Anything you do could have a political undertone. He also took up too many roles that were not necessarily supposed to be his role. He became literally like a prime minister. You know, this can you confund this other one, that other one? At a point in time, you're wondering whether he's combining like 3 or 4 different portfolios.
I want to talk to you about the president. I mean, first off, the protest that rocked Lagos last week, and then subsequently the address of the president. What effect do you think that presidential broadcast, had or is having on the situation?
Well, presidents should talk, and no matter how you see it, their words still carry some comfort with it. It was appealing to people to take it easy. It was appealing to other levels of leadership to also assist. It was saying traditional rulers, religious leaders, to speak with their people, not to get used to what happened. What happened on Friday did not appear to me to be spontaneous. It looked to me like it could also have been sponsored. This is the worry people like me have about, leaving angry people, angry groups of people on the road for 3 weeks. So for 3 weeks, we've been watching these people. They are unhappy. They are at ATMs. They start very early in the morning. They are there till late in the evenings. And we watch them for 3 whole weeks. Now, what could happen is, number one, because they are not happy people, there could be spontaneous reaction that could evolve into protest and violence. That one is there, spontaneous, on themselves, by themselves. Number two is that they could be sponsored to be violent. So there are several interest groups that are interested in an angry crowd. And if they see some, they make use of them. You don't need to plant a few people in between them, and before you know it, things start to explode. We saw all the attack on the banks when the banks were scapegoated as if they were the alpha and omega of the problem that we saw. But they were not. The money was simply not there. I had a friend of mine, he's a DGM in one of the banks. We were speaking last week, and he said, look, my bank said, oh, we should all go out and be visiting our branches just to see what is going on and, talking to people. He said one of the branches that he visited, that he himself needed some cash. He said when he saw how much they have, vis-a-vis the crowd that was outside, he couldn't even ask and say, please give me 20,000 too, I need 20,000. He couldn't ask. In good conscience, he said, I couldn't ask. When he was leaving, he said he had to ask the Mopol at the bank, please drive my car to the next street. I will meet you there. So he closed through the back. Because at the time he was leaving, he saw this note don't finish. The people were there outside. There's still so plenty. So he just quietly went out through the back door to go and meet his car a street away. That is the kind of scenario where we have created. So we must pay attention to this and ensure that it doesn't evolve into the kind of some of those violent protests that we have been seeing in recent times, so that people can feel good to come out on Saturday and vote.
I'm still going to let's finish up with the president's broadcast and that riot, the protest, violent protest last week, across Lagos. So the president said that the 200 naira notes should be reintroduced. He still maintained that the 500, 1,000 should cease, as legal tender. Has anything changed? Do you think that, things may get worse before the election on Saturday if people still can't get money?
Well, I observed, for example, that the 200 naira note, I've received a few of them since that Friday. It could help a little bit. I don't think it will be significant, because what is the volume of 200 naira notes that we have in the first instance, and how much of it are with these banks? So it probably can help, but we're not so sure of how much it will help. When you look at our currency, if you take the largest denomination, which is 1,000 naira, it is less than $2 in value on the street.
Oh,
so
wow.
It is less than $2. So you are asking yourself, how much can this 200 naira notes really help in this situation? The crowd are still there, essentially. But let's say maybe by Wednesday, if they really pump out everything they have, let's hope those.
The fear is even after pumping out all the old 200 naira notes, added to the new 200 naira notes
and all the other notes,
will it still be sufficient to calm frayed nerves before elections?
It may not. And it may not because it cannot, but because there are also interested groups. There are groups that are interested in it not calming the nerves. The implication of that is that people could also continue to send people to those ATMs. People continue to do that. In fact, people could do transfers to many people and ask them to go collect those monies at the ATMs.
Oh, wow.
Some of even the large crowd that we saw at CBN, part of it could also have been sponsored. Because there is when you make that kind of a process, it is so, I have friends at the CBN, they are not dumb people. But that particular deposit policy was dumb. If I have stashed away money, and I want to prove to you that your procedure is foolish, I will simply give people money, plenty of them. Go to the CBN and tell them you want to deposit this money.
Oh, wow.
And then you will just see a crowd at the CBN. Yes.
Wow.
That is why when we do these things, we must look critically at it.
Well, I'll hold your thought. Please hold your thought. We're going to step out now. We're going to take this break. When we return, we'll talk some more. Lagos, stay with us on the Crossfire.
Stay Stay one step ahead with the latest news and trending conversations here on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Don't tell people, you've added weight. Why are you losing weight?
Yeah.
Eating. No, it's not your business.
That money, the pass is good. Finally.
We should be patient and pray to God that God is going to answer our prayer.
Please, this is not all about prayer. It's not like it's not prayer. That is Nigerian mentality. If you're not finding happiness in your home, you pray.
Your number one station for talk. Let's talk.
There is a huge difference between the relative experience of salary earners and those of business owners and entrepreneurs. Someone who has never had cause to set up a business of his, who has never had cause to source for funds, turn it around, pay salaries, pay back the loan, and still make profit cannot be expected to be hands-on when saddled with an economy the size of Lagos. Experience that hasn't curbed Lagos's traffic in 24 years of their reign. Experience that hasn't addressed Lagos's perennial flood. Experience that currently leaves us with over 2 million out-of-school children. The duo of Jando and Funke have been investing in Lagos's economy for about 2 decades, running their personal businesses, employing peoples with track records of success. Lagos needs a breath of fresh air. Vote Dr. Abdulaziz Olojede Adediran Jando as Governor of Lagos State. PDP! Power to the people!
Some are calling Group B the Group of Death as they beg to differ Tournament of Champions. Hamid Olarawaju is a past quarter-finalist and finalist and has only ever been beaten by champions. He wants revenge against Anvita Kaushik and Esther Bewaji, but first, he must make it out of this group. Redemption is also calling for Ramadan Oladipo, people's champion. Beaten in a controversial semi-final, he's here to prove that maybe he should have been in this group as an actual champion. But that title belongs to Ruth Okorocha. She beat the debater who beat Ramadan. Can she beat him too? Find out this March at the I Beg to Differ Tournament of Champions on 99.3 Nigeria Info and Wazobia Max TV.
The only detergent that keeps me bright and fresh. I know the waste time to wash. I thought my clothes have the best, so why go less? You can't wash it out with a little Viva. Use Viva. Don't waste your time, don't waste your money. Use Viva. Viva, oh Viva. I love my Viva. Don't need no other. I love my Viva forever. Viva, oh Viva. I love my Viva. Don't need no other. I love my Viva forever. Viva, I love my Viva. Don't need no other. I love my Viva forever.
Viva detergent, a quality cleaning powder from Aspira.
Are you in senior secondary school? Do you have what it takes to be the next U-Lesson academic champion? If yes, then get ready to put your academic skills to the test. Introducing the U-Lesson National Academic Tournament. Represent your school and compete for a chance to take home the grand prize of 3 million naira plus other amazing prizes. To learn more or register for the challenge, visit ulesson.com/challenge. U-Lesson, love learning.
Get up to 10% off on your UBA card when you treat yourself and your loved ones with delicious meals from Jumia Food, tasty desserts from the or hotels, and a possible learning experience with U-Lesson. Enjoy Sakpa-free love on UBA. This offer is valid from 13th to the 28th of February 2023. Terms and conditions apply. UBA, Africa's global bank.
I have sent my account.
To where?
Better send your own.
To where now?
I'll collect mine and leave you.
From where and when?
You like questions, Sha?
I like answers better.
Questions are important as the answers you get. It takes 1,460 days to determine if you are right or wrong. Choose to be right. Choose to vote. Choose not to sell your vote. Choose democracy. Choose to win. Win because you can vote and choose.
This message is brought to you by the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria.
Every day's a good day when you've got what it takes. Cowbell evaporated milk gives your body what it needs. Ain't average though. Happy Cowbell Day, creamy goodness so.
milk that is carefully formulated to retain its creaminess and great taste. Cowbell evaporated milk. So creamy, so good. Cowbell, I want milk.
I know say everybody getting time, I don't go lose faith. As I dey hustle every day, I know they look face. Cause I know say one day I go make her. Yes, I know say one day I go blow. We move, we move, we move, we move, we move. We move, we move, we move, we move, we move. Yeah, yeah. Cause I know say one day I go make her. Yes, I know say one day I go blow. We move, we move, we move, we move, we move. We move, we move, we move, we move.
Turn that fear into victory.
Cause I know say one day I go make her.
What are we doing today?
My guy, make we dey go now. Our guys dey wait oh. Bros, my body no gree cooperate today oh. Which kayawa be that? Abeg come sit down, Joe. Sit down? Yes. The thing no gree me now. Abi that your pile wahala don come again?
No, pile wahala no be small thing oh. Na so e go dey start you. If it swell up or to dey comot blood sef, to sit down sef na gbege. That's why I say make you tackle pile problem with Anudol suppositories. Anudol suppositories get bismuth subgalate, balsam peru and zinc oxide to tackle pile. So you go fit dey kampe to do your work sharp sharp.
Oh yeah, my guys. Make we go. Mother do good. One bottle for my guys.
Anudol suppositories. Now your relief for pile. Anudol suppositories. Now Daily Need Industries they make am. Make una read the product leaflet o. If after 2 days you know better, go see your doctor.
So special to us, golden morn. So special to us. I cannot go a day without this goodness in the bowl, giving energy to make it stay golden. Golden morn. So special to us.
Thanks for calling Bastion
Since
HMO.
I signed up with Bastion HMO, I don't worry about hospital bills. I get access to top quality healthcare and still save enough for other things. They even help me pre-book my doctor's appointments. Bastion HMO also gives me access to over 1,700 hospitals and clinics with the freedom to switch whenever. I feel so in control of my finances and health.
Call 0800 Bastion or visit www.bastionhmo.com to purchase a plan that suits your needs. Bastion Health, the HMO that puts you in control.
When you think of fruit juice and all the goodness that comes in it, think Evita. It is many years of trust, quality, and all the goodness of fruit poured into one lovely pack with no artificial flavors, colors, and preservatives, specially made for you. And there is more to choose from. Whatever your preferences are, there is a Chivita for you. There is a Chivita for everyone. So, what's your Chivita?
Start every day on a bright note. Remember the words of Dalai Lama. One small positive thought in the morning can change your whole day. Be inspired with inspirational quotes and get a chance to win free airtime and 10,000 naira cash in the Top Tea Taste to Know Inspirational 2.0 promo. Buy a pack of Top Tea, collect inspirational cards with unique letters to spell Top Tea. Share a picture of your collection on Facebook and Instagram and tag at Top Tea Nigeria to submit your entry. Find the card with letter O to win free airtime. Get refreshed, get inspired, keep winning. Offer valid while stock lasts. Terms and conditions apply. Promo approved by FCCPC and NLRC.
Top Tea. Taste to know.
99.3 Nigeria Info, your number one station for talk. Let's talk. This is The Lead.
I said the lead bow. Welcome back to the Crossfire Lagos, Nigeria. It's not the lead, it's the Crossfire. And on Monday, we do Crossfire Extended. So we're not done until 10 this morning. I am Sheriff Quadry. I have Gbolahan Olojede here, and we've been having this robust conversation as regards to current realities, current Nigerian realities. We have just been on one topic of our conversation this morning. We have other areas that we'd like to touch on. But Gbolahan, thank you again for coming through this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You can watch us live on Facebook and on YouTube, where you can also join the conversation by dropping your comments on the things that we've been talking about. We'll also come to the telephone to come take your thoughts as well. But you should also know that we have, yes, we have 2 hours, but we have plenty of things that we want to talk about. So please, anytime we come to telephone, just make it short and straight to the point. And if you're dropping your comment as well, make it short and straight to the point, okay? We appreciate that. On Facebook and on YouTube is Nigeria Info 99.3. If you'd like to drop us your tweet, feel free to do that at Nigeria Info FM on Twitter. And our WhatsApp is 0809 597 5805. So, Gbolahan, we have 2 things to talk about regarding the Naira redesign and swap policy that we started since 8. First is the talk around the motive behind this policy. Some have said that it could be some kind of vindictive policy, and not what we've been told that is for vote buying or whatever it is. Even if it's a vote buying, they're saying that the underlying motive force is quite more like a vindictive sort of thing.
Well, I wouldn't like to start that discussion on the note of vindictiveness. I would like to start it on the note of the fact that this is firmly to curb vote buy, and that curbing vote buy is laudable. That's a good thing to do. Nobody should be able to buy the votes of Nigerians. Having said that, there are new sentiments on the street about how, in fact, let me remember the way someone had captured it. He said it is like setting a rare forest on fire to catch a rat. So there's a big fat rat that you want to catch. You now look at the Amazon and you set it on fire because of that rat. Because of that rat. And that is how the cashless policy appeared to have played out in the society. And when you look at the harm that has come with this policy, the harm has been intensive, you know, on the economy, on individuals. Like I said when I started this discussion, there are probably about 50 million people with zero access at all. Doesn't mean we didn't consider how this might impact them. We had situations in which farmers were short selling. You just short sell. In fact, some people were wrongly describing that as, you know, farm product becoming cheaper. It didn't become cheap. That wasn't what happened. It was the fact that these guys, they needed money. That is, it's the only way they've known it.
Especially those with perishable goods.
Especially those with perishable goods. Even those without perishable goods. For example, I can show you a chart sent to me by one of my guys that I do some commodities trading through, saying that, oh, this particular product has become cheap now because these people want money. It is the way they meet their own obligations. So if they can't get the money, they are ready to say, okay, this thing that should be 2 naira. Just give me one naira 50 kobo and take it. Give me the cash. I need to meet certain obligations. We didn't attend to that. Now back to that vindictive side of things. Some people, I mean, my sample size is very tiny. Let me say between 6 and 7 people who hitherto have been neutral or cold about this election and are now saying, look, I don't like this, and I am going to vote, and I'm going to vote for this particular candidate. I'm like, okay, so what is going on? That and they said, look, in 2015, how come PMB did not see all these issues? He didn't. It wasn't that as if he had money. Some people put the finances and they put the resources, financial and all other resources required to make him president. They put it on the table, and he became president. So he got all the support he needed. In 2019, a few weeks to election, was when we started to distribute trader money. Now, why didn't he see anything wrong with distributing trader money a few weeks to election? Even the so-called bullion van issues that was being hung on the presidential candidate of APC, they said, look, in that year, in 2019, Tinubu was not on the ballot. You were the one that was on the ballot. Whatever those bullion vans were for, you were the beneficiary. So if you were the beneficiary in 2015 and 2019 and you didn't do cashless then, it means that you're doing this cashless, you're targeting it at that particular candidate. And that it is vindictive because he had supported you 2015, 2019. When it was time for you to reciprocate, you decided to attack. And that, look, they cannot stand for. I mean, this is a segment of the
initially, they weren't going to vote.
Initially, they weren't going to vote, but they're saying this is wrong.
This is
disloyal. This is this. This is that. I am going to vote now. I'm going to vote for that candidate for this reason. So, it's a shift in certain voter segment, and they have strong sentiment that is moving in favor of that particular candidate that is being treated unfairly, and they will not stand for that level of unfairness. Don't forget that voting is largely an emotional thing.
That's right.
So for those category of people, they don't even want to care about whether you are vote buying or not. For them, it's an unfair treatment, and it's an unfair treatment. And because of that unfair treatment, they will vote for that perceived victim of the unfair treatment.
Let's take some calls. Let's take some messages as well. Lagos, if you're just joining us, you're welcome. All through this week, we'll be discussing elections 2023. And we'll be looking at all areas and how the campaigns are unfolding, and they're wrapping up as well, because the campaigns must wrap up this week. So I'm going to start with some messages on Facebook.
One quick one, Sheriff, because I found it very, very funny.
What's that?
When they told me yesterday that people were good, this category of voters were going to the extent of saying, if financial inducement is what it takes, or cash being given to them is what it takes to vote for this candidate, that they will even vote for him on credit. Let him enter first. When he comes, he will come and pay them. And I found that comedically pathetic. But that is to show you the vehemence that these people felt about, the issue.
Okay, all right now. Alalade Fred on Facebook says he is enjoying you. That's what he's trying to say. Let's move on to this one that says Ni Adewale says there is overall poor network in Nigeria to run a cashless policy. Ni, thank you for sharing that. I'm going to go now to the telephone. Let's take a few more calls. Let's take this one here. Morning to you.
Hello, sir. Morning, my name is Adewale.
Welcome.
Yeah, I think that the problem with this cashless policy was they did not think about the scenario. It's something America called Bruce Hamilton. What they do is they take government policies and try to run it in small scale and see how it works before they deploy. And that is why they do that. I think it's a poor policy, and I think it's going to fail eventually. Thank you.
Thank you too for calling me. Drive safe, okay. Nigeria, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Cherry.
Morning to you.
Yes, Mr. Gbolahan.
Thank you, sir.
The corrupt politicians cannot take the old money to the bank or to CBN because it can be traced. Mr. Gbolahan, if you give like 10 people money to change for you at the CBN office, trust me, not all of them will return with it. I'm telling you, not many of that 10 people, I'm telling you, 5 of them will not return with the money. That was why the NNPP presidential candidate also, was taunting some APC government that their loot is now useless. Have a nice day.
You too, have a good one. Nigeria, good morning to you.
Good morning, Sherry.
Morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
This is Pastor Ladipo. Follow for you see, it's only in Nigeria they put the cat before the horse. Now, this policy, they didn't even think it through. If they want to do it, I know that timing is very crucial. They would have been working on the system, on the internet system to be effective before this thing is implemented. You see, for the corrupt politicians, they will always find out. They are like water. You can't hold water. If they don't give it in cash, they will give it in incentive. How about that? Thank you and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you too. We're going to take 2 more before we go on. Good morning to you. Good morning.
Can you hear me? Okay, hi. My name is Chinelo. I'm calling from, I'm on the road actually, so this is it. My thought is this. I think your guest today is very biased, and that's my opinion. It's very laughable how he says he talks 6 people out of 100 million of Nigerians, and then he's saying they would even go on credit, and they would they are about how Buhari took the whole process of 2019. I mean, I think it's a very biased opinion. That's my opinion. Because I can't imagine how you listen to 7 people and you think that's enough for us 200 million Nigerians to think that is a good sample, to work out of. I think that I just think it's very biased, and I feel like this is not the kind of person to be listening to at this time, because it's really trying to steal us out of what the reality and fairness is. If you understand what I mean.
All right. Chinelo, I respect your opinion, but I think you got it all wrong, though.
I think you did.
Would you like to explain to Chinelo,
when I was going to make that comment, I said this sample size is small, and I mentioned the sample size. I didn't say I was polling. This is not a poll. I'm just saying the feeler
this
that
is
I
your
got from
interaction
some people.
with some people.
Exactly. I also picked my word when I said a segment of the voters. These people are a segment of the voters. They may even be 1% of the entire voter population. They do not necessarily represent Chinelo's opinion or my opinion or Sheriff's opinion. That is their opinion. So it is there. They are human beings and they are voters. And that is what they think. That is what they think.
The same way,
it doesn't follow that is what I think.
Exactly. And by extrapolation, I would say that it's the same way some people would vote a candidate because of some certain qualities.
Exactly.
And they say it in public, on radio, on TV. It's the same way these people too are talking. So, and I'm quite sure that Gbolahan did not say that this is the opinion of Nigerians.
No.
That's why
I picked my word deliberately because I didn't want to leave that as an opinion representative of any.
Right. Now, Gbolahan, quickly now, let's go, because I want us to finish with this aspect of the conversation before we go to election proper. The Supreme Court order.
The Supreme Court order is a very interesting, but saddening. I found it very sad. Here is it. The president is very determined on this issue of vote buying, rightly or wrongly so. And he has taken it like a moving train that nothing should stop. So what you see is that even if it is Supreme Court, if you are Supreme Court, you are jumping in front of this train, I ain't gonna stop you. Better jump out of that place or I crush you. That is the kind of, and I believe that he will still continue along this line until 25th of February. I don't think anything will shift because he's determined, and that is the kind of person that we have observed that he is. So, however, was that action sub judice? I believe it is. There was a case before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has said, hang in there until I listen to the parties for the interlocutory court. So once that happens, you cannot do anything. You have to let it be. That is the way it should be. What was subject to be made about the fact that it is in the larger interest of the society. It doesn't want vote buying to happen. It is that. But we have to be very careful about undermining our institution.
Has the president undermined the Supreme Court?
In a way, that is what he did. By not obeying that instruction that the Supreme Court issued. He had like I said, there have been all sort of justification. People say, the CBN were not joined. Yes, the CBN was not joined in the case because the people that went to court were deliberate about not joining CBN. Right. They knew once you put CBN in it, the jurisdiction will be ousted. So they deliberately kept CBN out of it. Who made that speech? Was it CBN? No, it was the speech about 200 naira notes. It was the president that made it. So the president is a party. In that case, that is before the Supreme Court. And it should have held fire. In fact, I would think maybe things would even have been better if it was the CBN that made that announcement and not him as a party that is before that court. That same Supreme Court, in another 1 week, at least 3 of these contestants will be back there. Because by then, there will have been a winner of the election.
That's right.
There will be people who are unhappy.
That's
and they will go back to that same court that we said, we are disdaining right now. That same court that we are disdaining installed Peter Obi as governor. When they impeached him, they reinstated him. That same court was the one that says when OBJ banned Atiku, it was that same court that unbanned him and said you can contest. When they say he was a Cameroonian, it was that same court that said you are not a Cameroonian, you are a Nigerian, and you can contest. In fact, Tinubu himself might not be contesting today, but for that same court. So even if you line up the leadership, the contestant themselves, none of them will be able to look in the face of Supreme Court and say, ignore these people, because they have been a beneficiary of that institution's judgment.
Let's be very frank, Gbolahan. Who should Nigerians obey? Who should the banks obey? The Supreme Court or the president?
The Supreme Court has the ultimate say. But here is what we have done. Because the president had gone in another direction, it has created chaos. The APC governors are going in their own scattered places. CBN in one direction, president there, Supreme Court at the other side. We have created a chaotic situation. I hope we can rein it in and give up. It's like saying the Supreme Court of the U.S. has overturned Roe versus Wade in America. Now, Biden is for Roe versus Wade. It gives that authority for people to do abortion and all those kind of things, and all those kind of rights. That for him and maybe 150 million other Americans did not like the fact that the Supreme Court has overturned Roe versus Wade. Should they then disobey what the Supreme Court of America said? No. Biden can complain. He probably can find some other legal way to go and present some other bills and whatever. But that's pronouncement should be obeyed. It is in the interest of order. The Supreme Court is not final because it is always right. It is right because it is final. It is the law in itself. What they say there is the law.
Why have we seemed to have disobeyed the Supreme Court in this instance and obeying the president? Well, hold on. We're gonna take this break. We'll bring you the news at the top of the hour, Lagos. When we return, Gbolahan would attempt that question then. Stay with us, Nigeria.
.3 Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.
There is a huge difference between the relative experience of salary earners and those of business.
I'm telling this thing now in front of the camera. I'm telling it. I won't vote anything.
Right here today. This is my third time coming here to look for my PVC. Right now I'm angry though, but I don't know.
I've been here since morning. Look at how I'm sweating. I was inside the sun. Then they were sitting inside. Then the other guy came and said that I want to go and buy food. Okay, we don't know how to eat, right?
Anger is not what's going to change this nation. It's action, and that's why I keep coming, because we need the action, and our action lies in our PVC.
I commend INEC for extending the dates, but I'm so sad that I've not really gotten my card. I wish I knew. I wouldn't have done a transfer. If it's going to be tedious like this, I wouldn't have done it.
Look at the time now. I've already wasted today effort. I don't go to work. My money will be deducted. Okay, now I'm going home now. I'm not going with the card that I want to come and collect. You can see that everything, the INEC office, they are not progressing. They are not moving forward. They are not making things easy for us, because if you want to register this thing, it's a stress. Now you want to collect it, it's also a stress.
And no matter what happens, I pray by God's grace, I must get my PVC.
I don't want to vote, and I'm telling this thing now in front of the camera. I'm telling it. I won't vote anything, and I'm not coming to collect voters card again.
You're on probation. Why didn't you tell me about this new Glow data plans?
Glow new data plans. Always bigger, always better.
Babe, sorry now.
Yes, get a Glow SIM card today and enjoy bigger, better data on the Glow network. Just dial star 777 hash and choose your plan. Unlimited.
So special to us, golden more. So special to us. I can't afford a day without this goodness in the bowl, giving energy to make it stay golden. Golden more. So special to us.
With 3 spectacular debaters, Group C of the I Beg to Differ Tournament of Champions could be a fight to the finish. Emmanuel Nadi has only ever lost once to Tanvita Kaushik. She's here to prove that she can beat anyone on a good day. Nicholas Musokoya barely missed the August 2022 final, but gave us fireworks along the way. He would have met Fabian Chibundu in that final, but now they will lock horns at the Tournament of Champions. Fabian, the only boy champion, must fend off these 2 challengers if he wants to be champion of champions. This March, it's the I Beg to Differ Tournament of Champions on 99.3 Nigeria Info and Wazobia Max TV.
There is a huge difference between the relative experience of salary earners and those of business owners and entrepreneurs. Someone who has never had cause to set up a business of his, who has never had cause to source for funds, turn it around, pay salaries, pay back the loan, and still make profit cannot be expected to be hands-on when saddled with an economy the size of Lagos. Experience that hasn't curbed Lagos's traffic in 24 years of their reign. Experience that hasn't addressed Lagos's perennial flood. Experience that currently leaves us with over 2 million out-of-school children. The duo of Jando and Funke have been investing in Lagos's economy for about 2 decades, running their personal businesses, employing peoples with track records of success. Lagos needs a breath of fresh air. Vote Dr. Abdulaziz Olojede Adediran Jando as Governor of Lagos State. PDP! Power to the people!
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We are back.
We're back on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Experience a better way to stay connected.
Listen, fellas and girls.
Download the Nigeria Info mobile app on iOS and Google Play Store. Join the conversation and stay connected. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. The conversation is just a click away. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
It's okay. That is okay. It's okay. Let me explain. No, it's okay. Let me explain. It's okay. It's okay. She. Off your mic.
On 99.3 Nigeria Info, your mic is always on. Let's talk.
It's 9 o'clock.
The headline news on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
President Muhammadu Buhari appeals to Nigerians to be patient as Naira scarcity bites harder. APC asks President Buhari to intervene and obey Supreme Court injunction. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says security agencies are on standby to forestall any breakdown of law and order following Naira scarcity. President Buhari campaigns for APC candidate Bola Tinubu. EFCC denies raiding home of APC candidate Bola Tinubu. Afenifere youths promise to get 5 million votes for Labour Party candidate Peter Obi. New poll says PDP candidate Atiku Abubakar will win Saturday's presidential election. 6 killed as gunmen attack police station in Anambra. US warns that China is set to provide weapons to Russia. Barcelona maintains 8-point lead in La Liga title race after 2-0 win over Cadiz. Remember, elections have consequences. Come out to vote for your preferred candidate on Saturday. I'm Sheriff Quadry. It's back to the morning crossfire. Let's talk towards 2023. Lagos, Nigeria. Let's continue on the crossfire today. 8 minutes past the hour 9. Gbolahan Olojede is still here. Every Monday we do crossfire extended. We usually start from 8 all the way to 10. And this morning we're talking about events that unfolded all through last week. And since the Naira redesign and sub policy started, and it's been some type of conversation this morning. I'm Sheriff Quadry. Thank you. You can watch us live on Facebook and on YouTube. Nigeria Info 99.3. That's right. Nigeria Info 99.3 is how you can join the conversation. Don't worry, I'll come and take your thought on WhatsApp in a moment and take more calls as well. Well, before the break, we're talking about the Supreme Court order, and we've talked briefly about the president's position, whether he has acted in contempt of court. And then before the break, I was asking whether we, the people, have acted.
I've also joined.
Yes.
I want to be careful how I speak about the Supreme Court. However, the Supreme Court has put itself in a position in which a lot of people have problems with some of the judgments. One of the most popular one is the Imo Guba election. You also have issues of where technicalities are being used to resolve very serious matters that people believe should have been done at the level of the substantive issues in itself. So there are elements of distrust somewhere there, and I think I don't know the translation of this Yoruba proverb, but let me say it all the same. Yoruba ni tó bá pè èèyàn lábẹ́ fún ràìràì á pà fún ẹ̀ mọ́. You know, if they are saying all these things about you, you need to take a pause, review yourself, and be able to place yourself on a pedestal much higher than what we have right now, so that when anything comes from you, nobody will feel the way many people feel today about some of the things that are. And this is part of the reason why people are saying, don't mind those people, Joe. Let's do our own. The other part is that on a general basis, most Nigerians believe that this cashless thing will help us to curb vote buying. And therefore, anything whatsoever that will stand in the way of that subject matter, they don't want to care. A large member of the population says, look, let's suffer through all of this. It is for our sake. Therefore, it doesn't matter that it is the Supreme Court. To them, it doesn't matter that it is the Supreme Court that is coming in that space. If you're coming in that space, we would rather say you're just talking your own. No. You know, this is the way we will do our thing.
Yeah.
But the way I look at some of these things is that governance is about the people. In this case of the cashless policy, a lot of people have suffered. I wish that there could have been a way we could separate the suffering from the issue of vote buying, so that we are able to arrest whatever vote buying issues that we are dealing with, while we don't make people to suffer unnecessarily on the other side. I guess it's a bit too late. I foresee a situation in which the president will hold on firmly to this matter until 25th of February when we'll come up.
Are we accomplices as well if we say that the president is in contempt of the court? I mean, so the president gave a directive like release 200 naira, right? We still have people with old notes, but then nobody's collecting the old notes from them, in spite of the judgment of the Supreme Court.
We are accomplices. There is no doubt about that. We are accomplices because what we also seek as citizens is what is driving us. And nobody is looking at that other picture of a chaotic situation that could arise from disobedience of the Supreme Court. It is called the Supreme Court for a reason.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And if we begin to disobey and disobey and disobey, before you know it, there will not be. Some people think we can do with that. Like I'm saying, in another couple of weeks, or maybe even by next week, some of these candidates will be back in that same Supreme Court. So it shows that it is a critical part of our democracy. We need it to be strong and firm, and we need to be able to obey it, not undermine.
Well, we're going to take a few calls. When we are done with this set of calls, then we'll talk some other matter, and that is the presence of military in major cities across the country. I've seen the one of Lagos, I've seen the one of Rivers. But if you're outside of Lagos or outside of Rivers and you've seen military presence as well, you may want to share your thoughts in case you're listening, via our app. All right, so let's get to the telephone lines. Take a few calls. 01 277 0993, 277 1993, 277 2993, and 277 3993. Or call the smart number 0700 993 993 993. We've got a female only line for female callers only. 01 465 7190. Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
This is Joy calling.
Welcome, Joy.
I want to greet the man in the studio.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's like you are from another world, not from this Nigeria at all. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's our Joy. Oh, wow, Joy. Okay. So short. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning.
This is Claire from Ijegun.
Welcome, Claire.
I thank Mr. Gbolahan for all his submit on this foregoing topic. What I wanted to say is that our judges too, they are part of the problem we have in Nigeria, in the sense that look at all the different scenarios that he painted, the documents they've given, even the one of the Senate president who has not even done primary, and they gave him the grace to recontest. It's very, very disheartening that we have the judiciary and they are just using their rights anyhow. So the judiciaries too, they need to sit down and think through their action and do the right judgment so that people can begin to believe in them again, because they have lost our confidence. Then as per the the Naira note redesign.
Right.
If the president is trying to use it to cop vote buying, and to also stop the governors from cutting away the public fund by putting these measures, I think I support it.
Okay, all right.
That is the corrupt governors,
right?
Not all of them.
So,
all
Claire,
government officials.
Claire, just so we're clear, you're saying that you are ready to go in contempt of the Supreme Court if the policy is to cut vote buying.
I will follow what the president says.
We are saying the same thing. We're saying the same thing. Good morning to you.
Hi, Sheriff. How are you doing?
Doing okay, thank you.
Jonathan is ready.
Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Gbolahan.
Good morning, my brother.
I think I really appreciate your line of thoughts. We are not biased in any way. We are just talking the reality. A lot of people are suffering here. You cannot implement a policy where you have not built capacity. Just as you have listed it, that's just the way it is, and that's the reality. Nobody said it's a bad policy. The point is very clear. A lot of people don't have the ATM here. A lot of people don't even have internet banking here. And even your network that you operate, is it reliable? On Saturday, I was on a filling station at Gbolahan. They don't have network in the POS. So all these are problems. People in the tick village, how do you want them to survive? Nobody's against this policy, but you can't do this in 3 months. And also, 98% of us are not bandits. We are not counterfeiters. We are not heaping money at home. You know the people that are doing these things. You have all the apparatus in your government, so go after them. Enjoy your money, people.
Thank you too for calling, Jonathan. Let's take another one. Good morning to you. Oh, we lost that. We have a few more waiting. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Sheriff. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. I'm Comrade Han. What my contribution this morning is this. I'm not in support of all these policies. The implementation is quite poor. So hasty. I believe if the president wanted to do something of this nature, he should have done it. If truly he meant well for Nigerians, he should have done it in 2019 election, which is his own election. But he didn't do it. So why now, 3 months ago? So to me, anybody's believing and saying, oh, for vote buying and all. Excuse me, have we asked ourselves what's the value of Naira to dollar? What the level of food insufficiency, high cost of living insecurity, has he addressed that, all the many challenges we have? And then he just did one hasty rubbish and all of some people are saying, oh yes, it's true. He's trying to do wait. What has Buhari achieved all through these 8 years supposed to believe? So I'm totally against this whole policy, this nonsense. This is nonsense that puts millions of people in suffering, abject poverty, in sorrow, in pains, and people are saying, oh yes, he say vote by it. So after this election, we're going to have another election in the next 4 years. So are they going to change the Naira again in the name of vote buying? So please, for God's sake, let's just reason rightly. And what is being said is final. not the federal government. So please, people should pass the right information to Nigerians on radio. Not call me and playing politics here. Maybe you are APC. I don't like this. Let's be sincere with ourselves. This is rubbish. This policy is ill-conceived, so hasty and poor implementation, which everyone knows. So I'm not concerned about whatever motive is there. The point is that we don't need this at this stage. Election is just 1 week, and you're making the environment pause, making the country pause, making everywhere so tense. So how will people go out to vote? So please, let's pass the right information. Please, whoever is APC, they should take their APC to their bedroom. Let's be truthful and sincere with ourselves. This thing is affecting. Okay, Sherry, do you have access to the new notes?
No, I don't.
Do you have access to the new now? Have you withdrawn anything from the bank, Sheriff? So what are people saying for vote buying out? Is it today we are doing election that there is vote buying? Please, let's not come on air and be saying rubbish, please.
Right.
Even if people are not educated, let's not pass the wrong information to people. Let's use morality and God conscience and the principle of equity and natural justice and speak. This is wrong. Whatever people want to say, this is absolutely wrong because millions of us suffered. Do you know what people went through? Do you know that I have to go and pick up old notes for my mom, trying to say I can just spend this, that the money will not become people on Friday until we now heard the news that CBN said, oh, they shall set 200 naira note. And what sort of notes? Just throwing us back and forth. Look at the confusion. Look at the commotion. Back and forth. So inconsistent, incoherent speech. Today they are saying this, tomorrow they are saying this, by afternoon again they are saying. So what is all? Is that a nation? Where do you see in the history of any advanced in the world that their citizens are buying a currency for naira currency, that we are buying naira for naira? Where have you seen it in the world? And people come and say, oh, the president meant well. It's for vote. Come on, please. Excuse me. Has this president done anything rightly? I don't know. I don't know how people are being deceived. I can't be deceived, honestly. Please, let's get this week of election. The environment needs to be calm, needs to be cool, so people can go out and vote.
Right.
So thank you very much, Sheriff. Please, thank you.
Thank you too for calling me. Let me come to you from this caller's point of view. About confusion everywhere, and I've heard that severally. Like there's so much confusion, and I pity those states where the president is saying something, and their governors are saying another thing. I mean, what do you think could be happening in such states?
It appears as if you think those states are some faraway state. I'm telling you emphatically that even in Lagos State, people still spend the old 500 and 1,000 naira notes on Saturday for trading because of the desperate situation that they have found themselves. So I have a friend who went to the market on Sunday and said, in fact, that the things he didn't need, he bought them because he still had some of these old notes and was like, oh, so people are actually still taking this. He started buying things that he think he would dash them out at the end of the day. From all of that. So the confusion is too much. We don't deserve this level of confusion. Look at Friday alone, in which you say people should come to CBN. They came to CBN. You said they should go to the commercial bank. They went to commercial bank. You sent a memo to the commercial bank and said, commercial bank, don't accept money from them. Okay, what exactly do you want these people to do? What will happen? And don't forget that Friday was the last day for returning the notes.
That's right.
What if those guys, in the course of you pushing them around from CBN to commercial bank, they were not able to turn in the note, and they decide to show up at CBN again today? What will happen? So, I think where we missed the point was where we did a disregard for the Supreme Court ruling. And from that point, the whole thing was on roller coaster confusion, total.
People have also blamed. I mean, we'll go to the security angle in a moment. People have also blamed, to be very specific now, Governor El-Rufai for his own broadcast after the president broadcast. They've termed it treasonable. What's your thought on that?
Yes, it's not treason. They should go and check the meaning of treason. We also need to understand that part of the reasons why both president and the governors do some of the things they do is that they are immune. You can't prosecute them for criminal offense. You can't prosecute them for civil offense. So what are you going to do to them? Declare a state of emergency in their state? What can you do? Even state of emergency requires certain processes to be fulfilled. The National Assembly must give a nod on a state of emergency. So how do you deal with a governor? So I guess that is also part of why they feel larger than life sometimes and they do what they're supposed to do.
Did he do anything wrong?
I don't think so. He can always say he did not, that he was obeying the Supreme Court. And you can't fault it because the Supreme Court indeed passed a judgment. And that judgment is supposed to be the ultimate as far as that issue at stake is concerned. So they will tell you that I'm obeying the Supreme Court.
Most importantly, he was also part of the 3 governors that approached the Supreme Court. So he could say that he was only obeying.
It was only obeying what the Supreme Court has said. And you can't really fault that. And if you fault it, what are you going to do? As a governor, immune.
But how about his people? Who do
now,
you think?
In fact, from that speech, I could also see vote buying. That speech said, continue to spend your money. In one of the interactions that he had with the people, he was saying, don't worry, just vote for this and this. That's another in one interaction that was also viral. Vote for the APC. And all this money, if they don't accept it from you, this person will refund you all your money. What is that? The voter procure, because they're saying you can hold on to the note. We'll give you the note. Just make my guy win the election first. If you win the election, don't worry yourself. All these things will come true. So it is a very confusing atmosphere. The root of it started with the poor cashless policy in itself, which wasn't cashless. It was more or less a vote buying, curbing policy. That was the root. Then every other thing was going many, many wrong things until it got to the Supreme Court. The decision that the president made to go sub judice on the Supreme Court did not all go well, because it led to all those governors taking the direction that they make. And people have said, why is it the APC governors? Anyway, although there have been a couple of non-APC. I know Autumn, for example, had been on the side of the fact that let's scrap this policy because people are suffering. Autumn is not an APC governor. Wike, we don't even know where he belongs. Wike was... But you see, in the real sense, anything that takes cash off the ground affects significantly the so-called structure. Structure, those things, so-called structure, run on cash. Cash go all the way to the world. When you're going to have people who will be at those PUs as your representative from morning till night, they are given some things.
You
Nobody
need-
does
you
that.
need cash.
You need
Yeah.
cash. So, considering the possibility of making transfer to 176 thousand PUs across the nation in the midst of all the infrastructure issues, and is Herculean. So they would rather have their cash to be able to oil their structure right down to the words.
I want to talk to you about time flies. Let's talk about the elections and what the last caller said as well. The tension, palpable, fear in the atmosphere. I saw videos of soldiers in a show of force kind of parade, if you like. We've heard, that there's been deployment of military personnel all across the countries. In fact, in the video released by the president yesterday, he made mention of the fact that adequate measures have been taken to take care of security in the elections. The video is about 2 minutes or so long, and the video had almost everything taken care of. In that video, he spoke about the economic situation, the cash redesign. He spoke about security. He spoke about the APC presidential candidate. But let's talk about the insecurity part. Earlier this morning, people have said that we're about to militarize our electoral process again. What's your thought?
They probably were not aware that that is how it has been.
Yeah.
I was on the roads in 2019 presidential election, on the day of the election, on some election duty. So I probably must have visited up to like 100 PUs or something. And in the course of all that drive around, there were soldiers all over Lagos State, in some part of the city. So we've always had them. Maybe people were not just paying attention to that. Then it wasn't as if they would be distributed to all PUs. But they stay in certain positions. I believe they will have defined what represents strategic positions from a security perspective, and that is where they put them. Though I ask myself a question, for example, that why was there none around that Okota Itire? Because if you remember the Okota Itire problem, policemen were there, probably unarmed. Even if they were unarmed, it was outgone by even the viciousness of the number of people that came around to cause that mayhem. It would be nice if part of the military, they don't do anything, they don't disturb anybody, they're just there to let you know that we are here. And that presence, it helps in a way. Unfortunately, that is where our election still is at this point. They will be there, they will not disturb anybody, but they will step in if there is a need for them to step in. That is the way I see it.
Is it impossible to still have the military in the barracks, but if there's a need to have them intervene, then we get them out of the barracks?
Well, that's a way to look at it, but I think we are used to. Don't forget, in the real sense, how many OBJ was a military man, he's wearing Agbada. The current president is also a military man in Agbada. A chunk of our experience in the past 30, 40 years, military as well. So that part of us has not gone away. In the real sense, the military has no business, except there are national security issues at stake. Election should not be a national security issue at stake kind of thing. In some countries, it's a work day. People are going to work and they quickly vote and they move on. That is how easy it has been. But here in Nigeria, we are not quite there. And whatever will provide that comfort for people, I think we had better do it for the sake of this election. Then we can plan over time to exit this mentality of putting military on the street. The military have more serious fish to fry all over the place. And they should concentrate on that. Let the police be the one that will disturb them.
Okay. Let's go take some reactions now. We're going to take a few messages. Amawoli Orun says you allow the last callers to use the whole day because she said you want. She said you want to hear. She said what you want. That's what she was trying to say. Thank you for your thought. Appreciate it. Let's see. Ifedigbo says, Ifedigbo, I'm sorry, your message just disappeared. Atonda says the real truth is that the CBN and presidency are jittery of the Supreme Court because CBN acted against its own CBN Act. The same CBN could not meet up with the demand of a depositor. Depositor's request either at the bank counter and ATM machine. I don't understand that part. Okoli says El-Rufai chose the one that will favor him. Soon Kaduna people will come after him for misleading them. Why are they crying more than the masses? If state encourages their citizens to accept the old notes and after
be part of the system that shares.
It's not break time yet. We have a few seconds ago. It says if state encourages their citizens to accept the old notes and after they collect and the federal government refuses to accept it through their CBN, will El-Rufai print another notes for them? Okay. I can't answer that.
We don't know.
Let's go to break now, Lagos. We'll be back.
Advanced Lafayette Microfinance Bank brings you New Year Bumper Series Promo 2023, where you stand a chance of winning several household items such as freezer, blenders, gas cookers, and recharge cards. You also get an additional 50% interest. Wow! To qualify, simply open a savings account with us and maintain a minimum balance of 5,000 naira in the account. Existing customers with dormant accounts can visit any of our branches to reactivate their accounts. Maintain a minimum of 10,000 naira and stand a chance of winning these mouth-watering prizes. Terms and conditions apply. For more inquiries, call 0700 023 8267. Advance. Growing together.
Everyone is at the table for lunch. Mom is bringing in the jollof rice. And then...
John!
Sorry, Mom.
Hello? Can I order some jollof rice to be delivered?
Mama saves the day. Lunch is here.
Mom, I got some Coke too.
Just come and eat, Joe.
Cook up memorable moments because family lunch and an ice cold Coke make a recipe for wonder. Coca-Cola, real wonder.
There is a huge difference between the relative experience of salary earners and those of business owners and entrepreneurs. Someone who has never had cause to set up a business of his, who has never had cause to source for funds, turn it around, pay salaries, pay back the loan, and still make profit cannot be expected to be hands-on when saddled with an economy the size of Lagos. Experience that hasn't curbed Lagos's traffic in 24 years of their reign. Experience that hasn't event addressed Lagos's perennial flood experience that currently leaves us with over 2 million out-of-school children. The duo of Jando and Funke have been investing in Lagos's economy for about 2 decades, running their personal businesses, employing people with track records of success. Lagos needs a breath of fresh air. Vote Dr. Abdulaziz Olojede Adediran Jando as Governor of Lagos State. PDP! Power to the people!
Oh, the only detergent that keeps me bright and fresh. I know the waste time to wash. I thought my clothes have the best, so why go less? You can't wash a lot with a little Viva. Use Viva. Don't waste your time, don't waste your money. Use Viva. Viva, oh Viva. I love my Viva. Don't need no other. I love my Viva forever. Viva, oh Viva. I love my Viva. Don't need no other. I love my Viva forever. Viva, I love my Viva. Don't need no other. I love my Viva forever.
Viva Detergent, a quality cleaning powder from Aspira. At Access, we are 28,000 employees, 180,000 agents, 700 branches, 180,000 connected POS, and 2,883 ATMs strong, serving our more than 52 million customers in Africa, Europe, Asia, and UAE across 17 countries. With a total asset of 15 trillion naira, we are the largest bank in Nigeria and top 10 in Africa. So, to the determined side hustler, the happy-go-lucky youth, the tech-savvy entrepreneur, the moms and dads with bright lives to build, the market woman with big dreams for growth, the global citizens with their roots in our soils, we are here to stay. Through thick and thin, we stand with you. Access, more than banking.
Can you send your child to a public primary school in Lagos? Before you answer that question, please listen to this. In 2019, Governor Sanwo-Olu introduced EcoExcel, Excellence in Child Education and Learning, for public primary schools as a new system of learning and teaching, absolutely free of learning fees. Teachers have been retrained to use technology to teach pupils in their classrooms, and these are the results. An average primary 3 pupil is now reading at the same level as an average primary 5 pupil just before the launch of EcoExcel. In the just concluded National Common Entrance Examination, the top public primary school pupil scored 198, just 3 points behind the national best of 201 out of 210. The EcoExcel program was also recently crowned as the most innovative digital learning platform of the year, justifying Lagos State's investment in education. You too can be proud of your children by enrolling them in Lagos State Public Primary Schools today for the new academic session.
The race is on, and Nigerians will decide. People's voice and verdict.
They are not going to the ward. Nobody is collecting from any ward. I have been in a polling unit where the INEC officials, the party agents, and the voters are all complicit.
Citizens and their mandate.
People don't really know. Nigerians don't really know what governance is. They have described the process. It's really very seamless. I would want to believe that everyone will take advantage of this opportunity.
Nigeria Info Election Day Studios presents The Mandate 23. Minute-by-minute election day coverage, 36 states and the FCT. Sheriff Quadry, Jimmy Disu, Ireti Bakare, Marian Okon, Joyce Oyemwa, Sandra Ezekwesili, and Ufoma Egbamno with data analysis in real time. Date, Saturday, February 25th and Sunday, February 26th. Join the conversation live from 5 a.m. The Mandate 23. It's a marathon.
So special to us, golden more. So special to us. I cannot go a day without this goodness in the bowl, giving energy to make it stay golden. Golden more. So special to us.
When you think of fruit juice and all the goodness that comes in it, think Chivita. It is many years of trust, quality, and all the
delicious of fruit poured into one lovely pack with no artificial flavors, colors, and preservatives, specially made for you. And there is more to choose from. Whatever your preferences are, there is a Chivita for you. There is a Chivita for everyone. So, what's your Chivita?
Every day's a good day when you've got what it takes. Cowbell evaporated milk gives your body what it needs. Ain't nourish no. Happy Cowbell day, creamy goodness so.
Cowbell evaporated milk is delicious milk that is carefully formulated to retain its creaminess and great taste.
So creamy, so good.
Cowbell evaporated milk. So creamy, so good.
Cowbell, our milk.
Guy, I'm in front of your household.
God! What is this I'm looking at?
How fun.
Last. Now you this changer at the pillow. Wait, wasn't it 2 days ago that you bashed your car? And now you're driving another one?
Oh boy, now blessings on blessings on blessings.
Hey! You just upgraded like that.
Guy, I beg be quiet. Is that how people buy cars? It's the car my insurance company, AXA Mansa, gave me while my car is getting fixed.
It's a lie. AXA Mansa gave you makeshift car.
Yeah.
The same company that took your car to Better Auto Shop all within 24 hours. Guy, why you no show me the way? Before my insurance company make me pack car for 3 months, they jump boss round Lagos.
AXA Mentored Moto Insurance is the one-time insurance feels like an upgrade and leaves you wanting to say thank you for what you truly deserve. Visit www.axamentor.com or call 0700 AXA Mentor today. AXA Mentor.
There is a huge difference between the relative experience of salary earners and those of business owners and entrepreneurs. Someone who has never had cause to set up a business of his, who has never had cause to source for funds, turn it around, pay salaries, pay back the loan, and still make profit cannot be expected to be hands-on when saddled with an economy the size of Lagos. Experience that hasn't curbed Lagos's traffic in 24 years of their reign. Experience that hasn't addressed Lagos's perennial flood. Experience that currently leaves us with over 2 million out-of-school children. The duo of Jando and Funke have been investing in Lagos's economy for about 2 decades, running their personal businesses, employing peoples with track records of success. Lagos needs a breath of fresh air. Vote Dr. Abdulaziz Olojede Adediran Jando as Governor of Lagos State. PDP! Power to the people!
Everyone is at the table for lunch. Mom is bringing in the jollof rice. And then...
John!
Sorry, Mom.
Hello? Can I order some jollof rice to be delivered?
Mama saves the day. Lunch is here.
Mom, I got some Coke too.
Just come and eat, Joe.
Cook up memorable moments because family lunch and an ice cold Coke make a recipe for wonder. Coca-Cola, real wonder.
We report, you decide. Topical conversations that matter to you.
There are people for personal, religious, whatever reasons who do not want to take a vaccine. And I think they have the rights.
They cannot go to us to stop insecurity. It's to force people to take vaccine. Let them come and kill me. I can never take it.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. This is Morning Crossfire on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Welcome back to the Crossfire, the last half hour. That's where we are right now. Can you imagine how time flies? 2 hours, just like guys. 9:35 right now. Well, it's been an intense conversation this morning.
Yeah, it has been. It has been a very intense one. You could guess from the calls and some of the.
Right. You know what? Let's continue. Let's take this conversation even further because talking about elections and the military presence in some areas, and we're talking off air, and we spoke about possible post-election crisis. Well, what's your thought about that? Because I've spoken with a lot of people, and they're saying, look, we'll have the elections. Their fear is what happens afterwards.
We should not forget the fact that this election is going to be very competitive, especially amongst the 3 or 4 frontline contestants. There are even fears that maybe there might be a second ballot, but we don't know. I remember I've also mentioned that maybe by next week, some of these candidates will be back in that same Supreme Court. My expectation is that the DSS, the intelligence unit of the military, of the police, all the security operatives will be proactive about post-election related issues. There are indications that there might be post-election related protests, maybe even violence, if we are not proactive to preempt and prevent, or at least ensure that it will not escalate beyond what we can put under control. This will require a strong level of proactiveness on the part of the security structure. You have, for example, issues of polls. And I've asked myself, if there have been 10 polls and a particular candidate has come top in 9 out of the 10 polls, what happens if that candidate did not win the election? Are we already leaving a message in the air that this is the guy that must win, because out of the 10 polls he had won 9, so that is 90%. So if he doesn't win, it doesn't mean that the election has been rigged against the candidate. It could be, it may not be. If it is rigged, it has to be substantiated. Not that we already have a basis to say, let's go to town and cause some. So all these things require monitoring. There are also complaints about certain states where there are too many hoodlums, and we've seen what these hoodlums have done in certain parts in the past. So if their own candidate did not perform as well as they think he should perform, are there chances that they may go and start attacking some people and say, oh, you people are the reason why our candidate does not do as well as he's supposed to do in this place? So these are things we must continue to watch and be on top of it. In fact, it is, to me, almost more important than the issue of putting military in the
pre-election preparation.
Pre-election, yes. I think it's a very serious
the post-election.
Attention to.
Let me talk to you about INEC and INEC's preparation. INEC has been quoted to have said that the issue of naira scarcity may affect them. They have also been quoted to have said that this Saturday is sacrosanct, nothing would change it. I want election to happen on Saturday, but what are those things that must be done to ensure, especially on the part of INEC? Also in the news this morning, let me add this part, that we're hearing that the cash that INEC would require for elections, they would get it most likely tomorrow. Now, which means that there may not be any excuse for INEC not to have elections as well. I'll come to you on INEC and position of logistics. But let's talk about INEC's preparedness from your own purview.
I think INEC has been able to identify where the problems could come from, and it is heavy on issue of logistics. It is even the logistic that is driving the issue of we need some cash.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
So logistic could be affected by fuel. So INEC has gone to NMPC and have discussions at high level.
True.
Though, if you look at a place like Lagos, fuel issues has come down.
I can see
bit.
that as well.
Yes,
I can see that. Yeah.
So literally, anybody could get fuel to buy in Lagos today. I'm not saying Lagos is the reality of everywhere in Nigeria. I don't know what is going on. I'm aware of Abuja and Lagos, but I don't know what is going on. But beyond that, INEC has now had an arrangement with NNPC to say, even if there's fuel issues, you will have fuel in designated stations, however arrangement is such that your logistics will not be hampered by fuel. Also, he had a meeting with CBN, which is part of what you just said. Now, cash should be provided for certain last mile payment that are required. You're going to deploy policemen to every PU, for example. You ask a man to resume at a station early in the morning, will be there till evening. He go chop now.
That's right.
So is it transfer that may go and hook somewhere that you want to use? this guy and the rest of them. You can't afford to say, I transfer, I want to do to you. The guy just say, okay, you want to, okay, carry your material, go by yourself. And he goes away. So the cash. So on the part of INEC, I think they are more or less ready for this election. Although, in the last election, we were assured until the morning.
I was waiting for you to land, though. I was waiting. I swear, I was waiting for you to land
until the morning of that election, before the postponement happened. But obviously, they will have learned from that. They will have learned from that. So, and it was still logistics then. Don't forget. So by crossing their T's and dotting their I's to ensure that what caught them off guard the last time will not this time around.
Now let's talk about transportation in Lagos. The talks around INEC trying to make use of the services of Lagos Parks and Garages Management. INEC has denied that. They have said that they only spoke with individual drivers, and their contract is with individual drivers, not with the Parks and Garages Management. But then Lagosians are not buying that.
Well, I don't want to put you on the spot. I would have said, did you buy that as well? You know, to say that INEC will sit down and have contract with, I don't know how many people, 1,000 drivers. Now, Yellow Bus, they bring election material, I call my own PU. And we'll feel comfortable to have contract at that level with Yellow Bus drivers. It's a bit on the ridiculous. The way to have a business to do with those drivers is through their association. They have a union that is probably the most effective union in this country. Effective because they can drive home their policy and their decisions via coercion, whatever. Nobody disobeys. You obey. When your association speaks, that is the strength of that association. So, come to the fact that this same association, these same people, have the people who have been distributing this logistic material from time.
God knows when.
They are the same people. The only thing that must have happened this year is that there is suddenly an increased awareness that, wait, isn't not this guy? This guy is partisan now, but he did it in 2019. He was also partisan in 2019. And the problem we had in 2019 in Lagos was not so much about electoral material not being delivered. It was more of certain pockets of violence after the election itself has started. That was what we had. So essentially, this is the same structure that has delivered it from time immemorial. Now, because we are more conscious now, political parties are complaining. I think what needs to happen is that INEC should talk to them. Maybe that discussion has even happened to give them the necessary comfort that, look, this is it. That is a problem too. And if anybody has another solution, let him bring it to the table. That this is in that kind of a discussion, whoever has another solution will bring it to the table. But we have to be conscious of the fact that we must not frustrate the logistic of that election on that day. And if we're not careful and we just decided to, this overconsciousness, we may actually frustrate that logistics. Some say, remove the INEC guy.
Yeah, Rec.
In Lagos. I don't have any business with that. If you want to remove him if it's not. But even if you remove him and bring another person, the real issue is logistics. We will still, that new person will still have to provide a solution to that logistics. So why not face the logistics instead of facing the man?
Is there a way to keep an eye on logistics distribution for those who are not comfortable with the arrangement? What would you
those
suggest?
Are the kind of things that I believe in the discussion between INEC and these parties will have been resolved. To say what gives you the comfort, ADC, PDP, what gives you the comfort? You can also go back to it that in Lagos, we've not had a problem with late delivery of election material. That has not been our problem. But this time around that you guys are bringing it up, what do you think will give you comfort? Let the solution come from them as well. In this matter, I don't know if they are the same buses that the police also ride in. If they are,
I don't know too.
I don't know
too. People have suggested that perhaps the military can undertake that.
The
task.
military is busy. part of the discussion we've had today was the deployment of military for this same election. Have we taken an inventory of the military vehicles that are available? Military they are in several theaters where they are having operations as we speak. They are also going to be all around during the election in itself. So where are these vehicles that we're talking about? We don't even have the inventory to be able to make a decision as to whether it is enough or not. We don't have it.
Okay. We have a very limited time left now. I would have loved for us to talk about voter education as well. Quite a number of people will be voting for the very first time in their entire life. I mean, they are not children, no, they're adults, but they've never voted before.
Never showed interest.
They've never, in fact. So, and they will be voting now. I'd like for us to talk about that scenario of your first voters, adult voters, and what is required of them. Quite a number of people don't even know what they will do when they get to polling units. But I can see campaigns here and there on TV, on the radio, telling people what to do when you get to your polling unit and all of that.
Yeah.
I can see all of that going on around. But let's take some feedback from you, Lagos. We have 9:48 on our clock, so we're going to take this call. Good morning to you.
Hello.
Morning to you.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, good morning. We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. My name is Dayo. I'm calling from Festac. I'm a logistics solutions person.
Okay.
And I don't know if you can give me some time to spar on this logistics thing.
Yes,
And then
please. Go on.
I know INEC and stuff does listen to you. Now, you see, the thing is, unfortunately, it's already too late to tweak the logistics. I checked. The amount of trucks, the amount of buses that INEC need is completely insane. To think that you can garner that very quickly now. But going forward, there's something we could have done. I suggested it a while back.
Okay.
For example, you have clusters of dealers who bring in a lot of vans. These guys bring in vans consistently to service Nigeria.
Okay.
I kid you not, the inventory that they have, it is to the tune of thousands that would have been able to be sufficient for us. Now, what we could have done, the budgets that INEC had, you could have told these guys, you guys will get a tax rebate, give me buses. Now, all the time that INEC, like 3 months ago, last quarter, we're saying, get drivers, start training them. Get DSS involved in training these drivers to tell them that, look, anybody messes around. So now, afterwards, after the election, we could have used those buses again for the, what's the name now, the census coming. After then, they can then auction off those buses. So it's a win-win situation for everybody. The government will make money. INEC will get this logistics solution figured out at a cheap rate. At the same time, census also will get a discount. You understand? And then people will then be able to pick it. And in fact, you have buses can be specially designed to be able to carry all that they require. So those buses can then serve again as agricultural last-mile produce delivery for clusters that can be designed afterwards. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the regular buses that will be carrying people. You understand? So it's a win-win situation across the value chain. It's not so difficult. But you see, once you leave things to too late, right now, I make it bold. Except you want to throw a grenade in it. There's no magic that can work out.
There's none.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for your thought. And he said it point blank, like there's nothing that
it's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Yeah, let's take another call. Good morning to you.
Morning, Terry.
Morning to you.
Yes, Lucky Lola.
We can barely hear you. You're sounding very low.
Lucky Lola, can you hear me now?
Okay, let's hear you.
Yes, but why can't INEC, have their own buses for something like this? What of the money that has been allocated to them in the previous years?
Do you know how many buses we're talking about?
INEC is not a car driver. Have their own bus now.
No.
Waiting for time like this before they look for who can give the contract to another. But I beg being, that they should please, release money for them so that there won't be any kind of delay at all.
Indeed. Thank you for sharing your thought. Let's take one more as we go. Good morning to you. Morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, please. Morning to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Is that I want to contribute on this.
Go on, please. Go on.
Hello?
We can hear you.
So what I'm thinking in my head now is that what if after boycotting this money vote buying politicians, at the end of the day, they won the election. What will now happen to the policy? They will reverse the policy. And they will file now to the highest party in Kaduna State. You understand? Yes, Kaduna will become the richest state because everybody has given out their own money.
No, nobody.
Kaduna will now be the richest state.
That's an interesting perspective.
I didn't see that coming. Oh my word. Well, now we have to go. But let me read this comment here that says INEC introduced beavers to improve election. On logistics, why can't they use duly verified and profiled Uber, Bolt, in-driver partners? And he says his name is Yomi from K2. That's another suggestion there. But will that work though?
It's a bit too late.
Hold on, Gbolahan. Hold on.
You are listening to your number one station for talk.
Your number one station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Okay, if you're a strong believer of the fact that February is the month of love, let me see your hands up. See, these people are the people of faith. They believe that Valentine is not just one day in a month because it spreads through the month of February. Yeah. And so, because of that, Now Digital Systems is a payment app that allows you to boss your money when you want to send.
And I want to assume that you would run because I want to give the listeners context for the conversation.
In 2019, you were running mate to Atiku Abubakar. What did you learn then that you will not repeat this time?
Yes, when is the president coming out to address us?
There's a few things. One, I have a burden and a passion for young people.
The fact that you have elected a man does not mean then you begin to order him around. The president will do whatever is good for the country at any given time.
Mr. Adeshino, isn't the president responsible to the people?
What should the next president do to root out stakeholders who are complicit?
You fire those that need to be fired get fired.
It's looking like a brand new Chelsea, attacking with so much fluidity. And what can you say about that, Martin? I know you follow Chelsea quite closely.
I live close to the Chelsea training ground. That's what you mean by that. I'm not.